everybody, welcome back to The Witch. We are on part 6, and yes, I did convert this into an STD, which stands for Strategy Tutorial Guide, so that's STG. So what I do here specifically is I break down some of the elements of games I'm playing into a tutorial, and then I can walk you through a bit of a guide so you understand kind of what we're doing. And finally, we discuss strategy and things such as that. Not in one set order, but that's basically what my STGs stand for. And today we're going to be breaking down things like island power. We're going to be taking a look at the bestiary and some of the monsters that are found in the Earth Zone. The Earth Zone is where you're looking for the Earth Gem, which is the second dungeon on the island. It's a huge, one big long dungeon, but that's basically what it is. And the first dungeon is the Water Shrine, and then of course, then you put the gem on the Water Shrine pedestal. Then you open up the Earth dungeon, which is really tricky. And then if you complete that one, you will open up the volcanic side of the island, which is I do believe the final dungeon is the fire gem or fire shrine part. And of course, I haven't experienced any of those, but yeah, it's going to be really fun, really exciting. But before we get started here today, let me go ahead and drop some shout outs. Big shout out to Lost Vaults developer, which is Randall Higgins, and he is such a sweetheart, and he is going to be dropping you all some free codes so you can get your own version. Well, not your own version, get yourself a copy of Lost Island for free. And yes, we will be doing a special episode on a live premiere or a live, and I'll be handing out those codes. Hopefully I'll get the lovely lady Marissa to hand those out, Queen Angel to hand out those codes. So if you want to get a free, courtesy of Randall Higgins, the developer of Lost Island, Touchment, if you want to get a free copy of Lost Island because you don't have one yourself, then I got to tell you, I will be giving you instructions on how to do that. You just have to be subscribed. And if you are subscribed and you have the code, you'll be given the code. And like I said, we'll just be picking, it won't be a free-for-all. We'll be picking people who appear at the live premiere or live. And if you appear at the live or live premiere, we will put your name in a hat. And then if you are subscribed, keep that in mind, you need to be subscribed. You will receive your own special code, which will allow you to get a free copy of the game. So that is it. So be looking forward to that. Yes, it's a contest, so don't get freaky. So, but yeah, we're going to be doing that. I thought I'd announce it here today on Saturday. It is going to be very, very warm. So please, people, stay hydrated, be safe out there. Don't go too far. Wear a hat, sunscreen. Make sure you bring lots of water with you. Keep your pets with their boots on. Keep those guide dogs safe. And please take care of yourself and your regular house pets and cats, dogs, rats, mice. Keep them all safe indoors out of this heat. And make sure if you have some mature people in your family that you are giving them some attention and making sure that they have everything they need to stay safe in this unusually hot heat. There's a heat dome over a lot of areas in the country. Also, there's flooding. So if you're living in an area where there are flooding, please be safe out there. Please evacuate if you need to evacuate. Please make sure that you are in a safe situation. We don't want any tragedies, so please be careful out there. Other things going on. A big shout out to My Noise for the lovely sounds today for our Witch STG. Thank you, My Noise. Live, work, pray, content create. That's what we do with My Noise. You can do anything you need to do and then some. My Noise is where you can find all the tools you need to make a beautiful experience even more beautiful. Even more beautiful. Like that song goes, boom, boom. Love that song. All right, so also big shout out to Poyo for if I'm using some of her new music. I'm going to be promoting some of her more recent songs she's been doing. She's a talented artist, and she's the one that does our thumbnail, and she's the one that created Mike's theme, which is the song you hear play. It's like the rocky song that kind of plays in a lot of my intros. So she made that song. I own the exclusive rights to that song. I bought that song. But I'll be promoting some of the songs that don't belong to me that are hers, all rights reserved. And of course, the music you hear from the new intro is a combination of my noise and from Lost Island. So that's going to be Randall's Randall of Touchman's development song mixed in with a little my noise. So that's a brand new intro that's going to be playing on our Lost Islands. And I'm going to be adding a few little things to it. But as you hear it, it's got sound effects, which I borrowed from RPG Battlefield from my noise. And there's some volcanic sounds, again, from my noise, mixed in with Lost Island's amazing theme music. So yeah, I'm mixing in a lot of stuff. I'm brewing, again, our Lost Island coffee is on display, and I am having a nice, delicious cup of black coffee. So it's going to be good. We're going to be chatting for about an hour, and including this intro. So so sit back, relax, put on your easy grind sweatpants if you want to chill, or just, take notes if you want to. Spoiler alert, we will be discussing lots of secrets. So if you don't want these spoilers, maybe go back and complete your missions up to this point. I am currently on the Earth Shrine, so get to at least the Earth Shrine or beat the Earth Shrine, and then anything I'm doing is not going to be a spoiler. But be alert, every witch playthrough is different, so my witch may have spoilers that your witch hasn't, encountered yet. So I just want to be careful that I've covered all my bases. All right, so first thing we're going to talk about is island power. And we're going to go through a little quick tutorial on how to find your island powers and how to kind of move them around and reselect them. This is really easy for you. If you've been playing The Witch, you probably know how to do this already. But again, that's the tutorial part of this. I'm going to go through what I think about each of these island powers and how effective they are. And then finally, I'm going to talk to you about my strategy of my confusion strategy and what spells I'm using to make confusion very powerful. And also, we'll do a quick overview of my forged weapons. I did disintegrate one of my forged weapons, which was not a very good move. Again, I'm going to teach you some things, some do's and don'ts. So we will cover that a little bit. There's a lot of do's and don'ts that you're going to want to be careful of. And again, you're not going to know this until you play The Witch about 2 or 3 times. So remember, this is a roguelike. It's okay to make lots of mistakes, because that's what it is. It's all about having fun. It's all about taking risk, because that leads to rewards, and taking chances leads to inspiration and success. So you got to do lots of different things in this game. All right, so first thing we're going to do here is start a tutorial part of the mission. If you want to check out what your skills are, you're going to go ahead and click in the upper left-hand corner of the screen, the menu, and from the menu, go ahead and go to your skill book. Both you and your pet have a skill book in which you can change and switch out your skills. You cannot use infinite skills, unlike Final Fantasy, where you can literally pull from hundreds of pages of spells. You can't do that in Lost Island. You only got 5 particular skills you can have on your board, and after that you're going to have to switch them out. Now the beauty is with Lost Island, you can switch them out anytime you want to.
Button.
So
Inventory.
in between battles, you can switch
Skill
out.
book.
You
Exit
see a
menu.
boss coming up, you can switch out.
Equip skills.
If you think
Heading.
you're going to be farming, you could switch out. If you think you're going to be dealing with mini bosses, you can switch out. Let's go over what my primary set of skills are. Here they are. Okay, here's my skill book. Now these are my equip skills. Again, headings, swipe left, right, top, bottom, all your voiceover controls work. 2-finger touch the screen, turn. You could do everything with Lost Island. The developer has done a magnificent job of making everything 100% accessible, and he is always looking for more ways to make it accessible. We are currently having a conversation about some more things we're going to be doing together. So yes, yours truly will be collaborating with Mr. Higgins, because he is amazing and I like him a lot. And again, I've always loved his games, and this just means that with our us getting into a closer relationship, there'll be more opportunities for me to give you guys some insights in on what's going on with the development of Lost Island. So let's check out what my skills currently are in my bar. Of course, standard attack, you want to always keep that there. I don't know if it's even removable, but with attack, you can use your main weapon. You only have one, and you can switch it off whenever you want to. You can like switch different weapons. I want to suggest, as part of the guide, you might want to keep a weapon that has poison for the witch, and you might want to keep a weapon that has good crack-a-lacka power, like with crit. There are certain enemies that smacking them upside their head seems to work really well. And there are certain enemies that it's just better to poison them. Let me find my my noisemakers here so I can let you know when we're covering certain issues. All right, so when you hear that ding, it means we're discussing a certain section and we're doing a tutorial. All right, so attack is great with the witch. The witch can hit pretty good. I would say my attacks right now in the Earth Shrine area are hitting from around 40 points and up. Again, she can crit, but crit isn't a build I currently have active. But remember, if your weapon has certain status elements, you can inflict those on the enemy. So might I give you some advice? Either accentuate the current effects you have. For instance, I use confuse heavily. So you can make your weapon also do confuse, which we're going to talk about a little bit later when I show you my equipment. If confuse is a very powerful thing, and that's going to be covered under strategy. But yes, make sure your weapon can do something that accentuates your build or is a little different that helps your build become even stronger. For instance, if your weapon does stun or poison, that really accentuates confuse. So now the enemy's confused and they're poisoned and they're stunned and they can't hurt you. That's all good. So those are some of the things to keep in mind. All right, so that's attack. Pretty straightforward. So create life is really fun. So this turns your pet into an angel or demon. All right, keep in mind, the angel is very weak, but the demon is quite strong, but uses up a lot of spell points. The demon can use an area effect called Hellfire, which basically burns all enemies on the field. It does a lot of damage, but you can only pop it off maybe twice. So create life is an island power. You don't necessarily get it every time you play through.
Create life.
If you're really into
create
your
life
pet,
description.
if your
Replace
pet is
current
really
pet
strong,
with angel or demon.
yeah, this could be something to use. I have found that it's not that useful for me in my current build, but give it a try. Let me let you hear the stats for it.
Stun cost 2, SP cost 25, HP cost 25.
Okay, replaces your current pet with an angel or demon. It's random. This is a morphing skill, so remember, your pet will remain an angel or demon. You can't get them back out of it. So be careful when you use it. Okay, this is going to take a lot of stuff from you. So it's going to cost you 2 stams. So that turn effectively, unless you're around my level, which is 15, I have 3 stam. You're going to have 1 more stamina left. So again, when I'm going to go to the guide section of this, when you are trying to play as the witch, you need to be careful of how much stamina you're using. Things like create are not that great. So if you could put on something like prayer and demonic chant or other chants and then maybe crack off a spell, that might be better than wasting 2 stamina on create life. But again, it depends on how you're building your witch. Some witch builds do really good by cranking this off, but I found that it's a selectively useful spell. Again, it's more powerful than some spells. And again, your pet's just sitting there giving you some help. There is a really good pet I'm going to talk about that really is instrumental to assisting the witch. We'll be discussing that in the strategy section.
Equip skills. Heading.
So this is going
Attack.
to be
Create life.
button.
Button.
I'm going to
Equip
rate
skills
these things a little bit from 1 to 5, with 1 being mediocre to 5 being great. I'm going to call this one about a 2.
Pray description. A buffing spell that raises HP and SP regain by 5 additional plus 1 HP and SP regain per 2 intelligence. Total HP and SP recovery after bonus. 15.
Is absolutely fantastic, and I use it every single time I start a battle. I'm going to let you hear what it does. So that gives me so much. And again, it's based on your intelligence, so cranking up your intelligence isn't going to hurt you. There will be times where Island Power will offer you intelligence, wisdom, and other various attributes. What you're going to want to choose is either intelligence or wisdom. Now, if you're using Prey, do not lose the opportunity to select intelligence, because this skill gets cranked up. And by the way, SP and HP recovery occurs, I would think, on a continuous basis. Again, you feel free to fact check me in the comments if you'd like to. But I love prayer. I always have prayer on. I use it every battle. It's
Equip
fantastic.
Skills. Heading.
I do not believe it calls Stom, but let's take a peek. Yes, it does cost you stem, but the SP cost is extremely minimal. 15 is nothing. Again, prayer is going to be a 5. It is one of the best skills the witch can have. The witch needs to retain as much SP and HP as possible. Yes, she's a squish, and what I mean by that, squish is a derogatory term that describes clothies. Caster classes like illusionists, elementalists, witches, those are all squishes. So squishes are, in RPG terms, classes that don't have heavy armor. So yes, anything that hits them in the face is going to knock them out, going to knock their socks off. So that's a squish. So you got to be careful if you're a squish. You got to definitely be aware of your hit points at all times. Anytime a squish is never going to have heavy armor, but if as a squish you can sneak a little bit of armor count, if you can sneak a little bit of endurance, if you can buff yourself up with a little bit of strong defense, that's cool. Don't expect to do it all the time, because you are primarily going to be hitting enemies with spells, or you're going to be a glass cannon firing off everything you got and hoping not to die. So that's something to keep in mind.
Prey, Brain Blast, Swirling Storm.
Okay, so Prey is a 5.
Equip skill slot.
As I said, Create Life is a 2. Attack is obviously a 5. You've always got to have attack because you need to kill things. And sometimes you just don't have SP to burn. Okay? Brain Blast is absolutely fantastic. My absolute standby. I've had this from the very beginning. I got it with my Island Power very early. And mind you, Island Power occurs when you interact with statues and monuments, kill certain creatures, you level up, you get an Island Power. It's random, like any roguelike, like any good roguelike like this one is. You don't know what you're going to get, so every build and playthrough is different. And that's what gives this game such great replayability. You don't know if you're going to get the same skills. Again, anything that can make an RPG or roguelike not be linear is a fantastic thing. So what we want is variety, we want randomness, we want things not to be linear, and we want to be surprised. And that's what Lost Island is. It does all those things fantastically. So, and again, big shout out to Randall Higgins, the developer of Touchment, and he is Touchment. Randall Higgins is Touchment. Touchment is Randall Higgins. So yeah, again, I did not know the developer's full name until now. We've been in contact and we are going to be collaborating. So stay tuned. But yes, fantastic job with the just the irregularities and the randomness and the surprises and the secrets. It's so cool. Me love it. Me love it. Me love it. Me love it. So yeah, big shout out. Kudos. Excellent. Amazing. Yeah, I've been playing Touchment games for a long time. I've been playing Touchment games on the channel since I lost my sight, and I do believe before that. So I do love Touchment games. The very first Touchment game I ever played was Futurina. Yeah, shout out to Mr. Z. He knows who he is. He's the first person to introduce me to some of the finer points of Futurina. Yeah, that was the first Touchment game I ever played. Actually, I did play Touchment's Battle Arena, but it wasn't in an accessible form, and then the developer has fixed that. So if you are looking to play some of the just amazing progenitors to Lost Island, you're going to want to check out. The app itself has a link to any of the games that are in the series that are accessible. And as more versions of past games become accessible, the developer will add them to the app's About section. I may be wrong, fact check me please, but I do believe you can find links to those in the About section. All right. Okay, so
Brain blast,
again,
button.
we're going to be a lot of tangents, so this will be
Brain blast description.
tangential.
A weak damaging spell with a 50%
we will be
chance to
going in a lot
confuse.
of tangents.
Skill formula 1 to 1.3 star plus LBL star 1.75 plus int star 0.5 plus with star 0.5 plus LADMG.
Why
Base amount
this
6381.
skill is so amazing. Brain blast. Here we go. So let's break this down. So this is a weak spell. Yes, it is a weak spell. So there are, I do believe, 2 categories of spells I have currently encountered, weak and strong. So there could be even more strong spells out there. So this isn't a high damaging spell, but for what it makes up for not being a strong spell with its effect, which is that it has a 50% chance to confuse the enemy. That is absolutely broken. So just think about how damaging Confuse is. Confuse is one of the worst things that could happen to you. It means that you could heal your enemy. You could kill yourself or your pet. It could really be really bad. So yes, confusing the enemies is godly. It is one of the best abilities in Lost Island, and it is one of the witch's strongest kind of skill sets. It is what I will use, and I'll be talking about that in the strategy section, which we are getting to. So yes, this is an awesome spell. You can hang your hat on it. It is in your tool belt at all times, and you're going to want to hit everybody with Confuse and keep it layered on, slather it on. It's like putting butter on every pancake. Every fluffy pancake should have a tiny bit of cholesterol-free, fat-free butter on it, and this is what you want to do. You want to slather on a little bit of this brain blast on every enemy. For the most part, it works on bosses, but bosses have higher resist to it, so don't be shy. Pop it off several times. If you notice a particular enemy isn't susceptible to it, try a different status ailment on that enemy. I tend to, if enemies are not taunting away from their shields and tanks, I tend to always hit every enemy with Brain Blast. It is fantastic. And again, my Brain Blast hits for pretty good. You're going to want to do several things. And let me tell you these things briefly. Learn what element every spell does. Buff up the element that you use, buff up the element of the spell you use the most. I'm not going to go through every spell and what you should buff up. I'll do that in future STGs. Right now, we're only talking about this because I'm currently lost in the jungle. I'll get out, don't worry. Just like when I was stuck like Chuck, I got out from being stuck. But yes, build up the element of the spell you use the most. Whatever your bread and butter spell is, buff up that element. Whether it's shadow, earth, water, fire, just buff it up. Holy, whatever, poison. Be aware that certain elements buff up several different kinds of spells. All right, and I don't know everything, so I'm not going to go into that. That isn't my wheelhouse yet. I am still learning how the elemental system works. It is rather intricate and complex and does take a little time to learn it and memorize it. So, but once you get that muscle memory about how each element works and what spells they empower, you start to gain knowledge, you start to gain skills, and you start to know how to put down enemies in correct order. Again, so this game, when we get to the strategy section, is all about who you kill first. You also need to know what that enemy is going to do, and we'll be covering that in the strategy section because we're also going to be discussing the bestiary. So like I said, sit back, relax, grab a cool or hot drink.
Type, spell.
Good morning, good evening,
SP cost 30,
good afternoon,
HP cost 0.
just to everybody. Whatever time you're watching this, definitely sit back and relax. We're gonna have a good time here. We're gonna get a lot of the preliminary witch strategy covered today. All right, so let's take a look at some more facts about Brain Blast. It is a very low cost spell at 30, but not too low. So you just can't spam it. So be judicious, use it as you need it, but definitely keep it on. If the enemy is confused, if the enemy gets procced and is confused, you will hear this sound. I'm gonna make a representation of it. Some of you are better at sound effects than me, but here's what it sounds like to me. Ready? Sounds like you just got buzzed by a wasp. That means you confuse the enemy. So if I was a really good YouTuber, I would have a little cutout of that sound and would be playing it. And I'll do that in the future. But again, with the emphasis of getting this episode out sometime this morning, I'm not going to go out and look for several recordings where that happens. But yes, it sounds like that little sound. That means the enemy has been confused. Once an enemy is confused, they're confused for, I do believe, 1 turn. Now, I do believe you can upgrade the number of turns that confuse works. For sure, you can upgrade how often confuse works. So we're going to be talking about that. That's really important. That's the guide section of this. When you find your bread and butter, accentuate and empower your bread and butter. Make whatever spell works for you stronger until you max it out. So maxing out anything, there's a max number. I don't have it, but again, as high as possible. You want your effects popping off all the time. You want to definitely make sure they work. You will feel good if what you're trying to do as far as status effects works. So keep stacking whatever status effects you have. If you're into poison, keep stacking poison. Make your poison do more damage, last more turns, and have 100% chance to interact with your enemy, to affect your enemy. So that's how you make your effects better. Make them 100%, make them do a lot of damage, and make them work for long amounts of time. See, the good thing is if you can make your effects work on your enemies a long period of time, you can focus on healing yourself, you can focus on stacking other debilitating effects on the enemy until they can't even breathe, and then they die. And of course, if you can't breathe as a monster, you die for the most part. And if they're a spirit, they still can't survive if you've got a lot of effects on them. So what you're trying to do as we move into strategy is overpower your enemy with so many detrimental effects that they can't work their way out from underneath it. They're going to be doing the same thing to you, by the way. If you think they're not trying to bury you in status effects, you would be wrong. They are trying to bury you, and they will bury you because they have lots of summoning effects. They have lots of poison. They can limit your stamina. They can wreck your attributes. The enemies in this game, they are not a joke, folks. If you think these are weak, just
cost 1.
Feeble enemies, you would be incorrect.
Equip skills. Heading. Attack. Create. Prey.
I might
Brain
have to
blast.
refill my coffee, but maybe I can get through
skills
this and wrap this up. All right, let's continue to go through all the things I have, and then we're going to talk about some of the things I don't have on my bar. So again, let's talk about the rating. Brain Blast is 5, maybe a 6. I'm rating them from 1 to 5, with 5 being the greatest. It is a 5+. It's amazing. Brain Blast, it's your early bread and butter. It even
Swirling
can hang
storm,
on a little
button.
bit. I do believe by the
Equip skill
time
slot.
you're dealing with the volcanic part, the fire shrine, it might start losing its effectiveness, but there are some more skills and spells that can make confuse. So can make your enemies confused. So let's get into the next thing on my bar. Swirling storm. How absolutely lovely. So swirling storm affects all. So this is one of the god spells, all. All is always amazing. Any spell that says all affects all enemies. Now, I do not know if taunt prevents all, but again, I'll find that out in the future. You go ahead and fact check me by letting me know if it does in the comments, okay? For those of you listening and reading the comments, spoiler alert, there's a lot of really good witches out there, so get ready for tons of spoilers. You witches, please drop those spoilers in the comments. I give you permission. I really want people to get some education when it comes to Lost Island, because they're going to get stuck, and that's where all of you as channel friends drop your own versions of my STGs in the comments. So I don't care if you comment 5, 10, 12 times. I have people that comment 4 or 5 times a video, so if you're only commenting one time, then go for it and drop another 2 or 3 comments. Please reply to each other. Hey, and when you see those likes, when you see those replies, like them. I always drop hearts. So if you get a heart from me, it means I really appreciated what you said in the comment. If you don't get a heart, that doesn't mean I didn't appreciate it. It might mean that I'm behind on catching up on comments. Remember, I don't get to comments too often. That's a me problem, not a you problem. That's a me problem. I will start being more efficient. But yes, if you get a heart, it means I read every word of your comment, took it in, and I will be using the information you provide to give the rest of you a better overall tutorial sense and experience. So yes, please, as channel friends, you're integral to what I do here on Game Double Tap, the channel that describes absolutely everything. My name is Michael Gray. But yes, what you do with your comments
Swirling storm
really
description.
helps
A spell that damages
me.
all
So
enemies
don't
with
be
a high
shy.
variance and has a 25%
Please be
chance to
forthcoming.
confuse.
All
Skill
right.
formula 1 to 1.9 star, plus
So,
LDL star 1 plus int star
this
0.75 plus wit star
is a
0.5 plus
fantastic
LADMG.
spell. Let me let you
Base amount
hear what it
56,106.
All right, so there's a lot of spell formula being spoken of here, and I will break it down for you. So when this hits the enemy, you have a 25% chance. So let's talk about what 25% is. So basically, it's half of a coin flip chance to happen. So our Brain Blast has a 50% chance plus our own extra attribute points. This one has a 25% chance plus our attribute points. Keep in mind, as we move into strategy part of this episode, you can add confusion opportunity by building it up when you forge weapons. All right, you're going to want to forge weapons that accentuate whatever your bread and butter is. For me, I am accentuating everything about confuse. I put confuse on everything because remember, your confuse numbers add to all your spells. In my opinion, that's what I think it does. I've experienced that when I've improved my confuse, my spells confuse more often. All right, so this one only has a 25% chance to confuse, so that's not too high. So you're going to want to lay this on in the beginning, and if it doesn't confuse all the enemies on the field, then go behind that and use your Brain Blast on enemies that succeeded in not being confused. So this spell, though it isn't very high on the confusion chance, is great. So yes, this is fantastic. And this is something you will get later on from one of your island power opportunities. I would highly suggest, if you're going to be a confused witch, to select this one. Okay, let's talk about the cost. So this is going to cost you 2 stamina. So that's like 2 turns. You're going to want to wait until you have at least 3 stamina to start using this ability. This isn't something you're going to want to spam because it has 2 costs that can be quite detrimental. The first cost is your stamina. The second cost is your health. The witch doesn't have very much health, so you need to be very cautious. Don't spam this. Use it judiciously. And again, if you've got the enemies behind, let's talk about what being behind means. If you've got your enemies buried in a lot of things like status elements like confuse, stun, poison, if you've slowed them down to the point that they are crawling, don't overdo it because you need to conserve your spell power, okay? Your spell points. Don't overdo your use of your spell points, okay? So just be aware of that. And also be aware of me making erroneous statements. I often call SP spell power, it's spell points, but I apologize if I am using the wrong terminology. Often when my brain is moving faster than my lips and tongue can move, I will often misstate things. So I do want to apologize for that. So please fact check me. As always, don't take everything I say to be the truth on every single thing. I try to be as accurate as possible. But again, I do want to say I do make corrections. When I make mistakes, you might hear me in a future episode say, hey, I was wrong about that. This spell doesn't interact with this attribute. This attribute doesn't interact with this particular ability. So you're going to hear me make corrections. But really, okay, what I want to say to you is, it behooves you as the listener to what I'm doing here to fact check me on everything that I'm doing and see if it applies to you. Because you may discover that, that doesn't actually work that way. This is something better. Then I invite you to come back and drop your own STG in the comments. And that's where being a channel friend comes in. Because as friends, I like to collaborate with you and get as much facts as we can so that we can help somebody who's coming in as a third party to really be able to do what they want to do. Now, mind you, I think it's great when all of us get out there and play and all of us make mistakes and all of us have successes and triumphs. That's what gives us greatness as a team. So it's okay if I have a good idea, you have a good idea, that's totally cool. Ideally, we want everybody out there experimenting and playing because then we all bring together in one big pot all the knowledge we need to succeed. So yeah, don't be shy. If you disagree with me, it's totally okay. It's okay to tell me, hey, a game, that's not correct. That's totally okay. Again, I want you to feel free to disagree with me. That's really the importance of our democratic process here on my channel, that we all have an opportunity to have a voice. We all have an opinion. We all have choices.
Done.
We
Storm
all can
cost 2.
choose to look at
type.
things a
Spell
different
all.
way.
Swirling
That's the
storm
beauty
description.
of it.
A spell that damages all
But
enemies
yes,
with a high variance and has
I like to only drop this maybe once per battle, and then I like to finish up with Brain Blast. Now, if you get lucky and there's 3 enemies on the field and you could hit them all with this particular skill, if you could hit all the enemies with Swirling Storm's confusion effect to start off the battle, you're in good shape. You're ahead of the curve. That's when you want to basically get in there. I wouldn't say this is a bad thing, but if you do hit them all with the confuse effect, as we're moving into the strategy section of this video, you're going to want to just hit them with other things like get some poison onto them, to get your pet to poison them, get your pet to stun them, lower their elemental resistances, specifically lower their resistance to spells that you're using. So if the enemies are going to be hit with earth spells by you, lower their earth resistance. Many of your pets can, like the crab, the parrot, the other creatures that you have, they can lower the enemy's elemental resistance. That's a great time to really knock their socks off. If you're dealing with enemies that quickly resummon enemies, get all their health down to low levels and then finish them all off with an area of effect, okay? So area of effects are basically spell alls, spells that hit all enemies, okay? Another way of talking about that would be area of effect, which means it hits an area of a group of enemies and all of them get hit with the effect. So not only the damage, but also the special effect or status ailment. So that's really important to have a... Oops, sorry, we're going to get interrupted here. I think it's really important to have a strategy when you go into each battle. know what you're going to do, know what you're
Lost
going
ball.
to do on your
Screen
first,
recording in
second,
progress.
third,
9:30
fourth,
a.m.
and fifth
Button.
turn.
Status. App
After
switcher.
that, you're
Lost
usually
Island.
just
Active.
rinsing
Lost
and
Island.
repeating,
Active. Lost
and or
Island.
damage
Info view.
control. You're trying to stay alive. So have a strategy. Know what you're going to do. Okay, let me check real quick and make sure I'm still recording. Okay, we're still good. Okay, so that is so I'm gonna rate this spell. So I'm gonna give this one a 4. It's not quite a 5, but it's very powerful. So Swirling Storm is really great. It's a great spell. What I don't like is its HP cost, but yeah, it's still worth it to use it. In a way, and by the way, if you have Prayer, you're getting HP recovery. If you have Vamp SP or Vamp HP, you're recovering that hit point that you're using. Again, as we move into strategy, we're now full into strategy. I want you to understand there's some things that the witch can utilize. She can also utilize spells that take from her HP so that she's not using up all her SP. So there's going to be much debate about what's the best HP and SP spells. It's going to be up to you to see what your build works best with. But I am very eager to get a really good HP spell so that I can leave my SP alone, because I want to ultimately be hitting with
Swirling
SP
Storm.
spells
Swirling
and then
Storm description.
finishing
Age,
them
type.
off with some
Storm cost
really
2.
robust
Done.
HP
Button.
spells. Right.
Equip skills.
We have
Headache.
one more
Attack.
thing
Create.
on our
Craig.
bar
Brain blast.
to talk
Swirling
about,
Storm.
and it's
Demonic
one of my
chants. Button.
favorites. It's one of the
Equip skill
first
slot.
chants. There are 3 different chants that I know of. There could
Demonic
be more,
chant.
but here's
Demonic
the
chant.
chant I chose.
Demonic chant description. You become a demonic witch and gain 3% HP leech. Additional plus 1% HP leech per 1 wisdom. Total HP leech percent after bonus. 25.
Demonic chant. It's very fun. Let me show you what it does. Oh, see that? So this is another particular ability that benefits from one of my attributes. And in this case, this directly benefits from my wisdom attribute. And because of that, the way Touchman has done it, the way Rando has set it up, it will now tell you how much you're benefiting from based on what your particular witch has, or whatever character you're playing. The way Lost Island works is the spell formulas break it down to you and tells you exactly how much you're benefiting from. So it's okay to switch out spells and then take a note and then notate that in your notes exactly what you're getting from each particular build. So when we're talking strategy, you're going to want to build the best build for you. Take notes on what your build gives you. And notice what your weaknesses in Bane are. Every build has a Bane, B-A-N-E. The Bane is what hurts your build. So some Banes are dark, are basically darkness or shadow. Some Banes are fire, some Banes are water, some Banes are earth. You gotta know what your Bane is. And some Banes are physical power, some Banes are spell power. So once you understand your Bane, be ready to deal with it, have some solutions. So, but for the most part, it's really important to note that all the spells break down what you're getting. They tell you basically how much your damage is, approximately. They tell you the formula. They tell you the attribute. They tell you how the formula calculates the damage. And those are really important things. So turn your rotor to character or word navigation and go through the formula on your own. I'm not going to do it here because we'd be here for 2 to 3 hours, but do it on your own time and see what you like. Again, everybody's going to want to play a different way. Everyone has a different risk versus reward factor built into their brain. So if you like a lot of risk, you might want to choose certain spells that I'm not choosing. I'm choosing these spells because I'm very adverse to risk. So I prefer to keep my enemies incapacitated and burning down slowly. So I'm going to layer as much incapacitating effects on them as I can. And then if I can, if they're weak enough and fragile enough, I'll start whacking them with my staff or stave, whatever, or my weapon. So, because ultimately, if I don't have to use my SP and HP, I win. If you're still rotting down from my effects and my status elements, and I'm able to hit you with my physical attack, which is weak, oh, I win. Because you're going to lose, because now you're letting me build back up my SP. And once I build back up my SP, I'm going to layer back on all those debilitating effects on you. So that's one of the strategies I utilize with my witch. Big shout out to Marissa, who is the inspiration for our witch. She was a little taken aback by the fact that I made her a witch. I told her witches are beautiful and hot now in RPG. So by the way, lit RPG and RPGs, witches are in right now. Witches are like the hottest thing since baked bread. So it used to be witches were like treated really stereotypically, like they were ugly hags that hid in forests and preyed on children. No. Witches are like very empathetic, they're very caring characters. They're not very strong physically, but they're really good with their rituals. They got their demonic connections, they got their god connections. Witches can be anything now. They're very warlocky, they're magey, they're very, really cool. So yeah, witches are really hot in lit RPG right now. So yeah, witches are getting a good rep right now. So it's a great time to be a witch. They're really cool. So yeah, don't worry, witches are losing their stigma. What's the word for it I'm looking for? Can't think of it. It's too early in the morning. But they're losing their stereotype. There's another word I'm looking for, but I can't say it right now. But yeah, those particular views of the witch are changing. They're becoming a lot more acceptable. Witches are freaking cool. But yes, this is called Demonic Chat. Let me let you hear what it does. It's a morphing, so remember, once you morph, you don't have to morph any more times that battle.
Done.
This
Button.
is
Done.
win,
Stom
win,
cost 0.
and win.
SP cost 0.
You do
HP
it
cost
once,
0.
you're done. It
Type.
has
More.
no stom cost.
Demonic
It
chat
has
description.
no
You become a
SP
demonic
cost.
witch and gain
It has
3%
no
HP leech.
HP
Additional
cost.
plus 1%
Take
HP leech for 1 wisdom.
all the spells
Total
that
HP leech
cost you
percent after
nothing
bonus.
because you
25.
can conserve your SP and HP. Here's what it does. This is your HP leech, and this is going to take health from the enemy when you hit them. So, hit them often. Every attack that hits the enemy,
demonic chant description. You become a demonic witch and gain 3% HP leech. Additional plus 1% HP leech per 1 wisdom.
I love this ability.
Total
this is a
HP leech
must-have on every witch. You're going to want to leech. Now, I don't know what improves this leech, but let me look and see here. Okay, it's wisdom based. That's another good reason to take the island ability of doubling your attributes gain when you level up. So one of the really best island powers is when you can double your attributes gain per level up. Take that one as soon as you can, because it loses its efficiency if you take it later in your build, because it's a lot harder to level. But if you can get the island power that doubles your attribute gain,
type morph.
That's going to make all the difference in the world. Okay?
Equip skills.
All right.
Heading.
Now that we are in full strategy mode, let's take a look at some. Oh, by the way, demonic chant is a 5+. Call it a 6. It's absolutely fantastic. Take it every time. All right, let me check our time so that I don't go over.
The timer time is 0 hour 11 minutes.
Okay, we have 11 minutes. I have just enough time. I'm gonna have to do a part 2 of our STG. So let's try to complete this part. I think next time we're gonna go into the bestiary and some of the creatures that you're dealing with as the witch. But I wanna briefly show you the coolest part of what Rando has put into the game.
Attack,
whenever
button,
you choose get powers, they stay available for you to reuse.
Equip,
so let me show you them here at the bottom. When you select your skill book, you can look at all the particular skills that they've offered your witch that are currently active on your witch here at the bottom. So swipe to your right.
Human race button. Skill or pet book slot.
So you can equip or So you can
Spirited,
equip or
button.
unequip any of your
Skill or
skills.
pet
Isn't
book
that
slot.
amazing? Here is my skill book. There it is. There's one.
Charged precision, button. Skill or pet book slot.
So this tells you that human race is affecting
Gloomy
what my
bolt,
witch
button.
has. So
Skill or
whatever
pet book
race
slot.
you are, you're going to see it here. You're going to this is another skill, and that comes from humans, I can tell you. So that has a particular effect. I have something called charge precision. So that's something that's going to help me.
Prey, button. Skill or pet
I
book
can
slot.
always put my
Adventure,
gloomy
button.
bolt, which is one of the first
Skill or
skills
pet
your
book
witch
slot.
learns. I can always re-equip that if I just want to use a cheap damaging spell that
Adventure.
uses, I think it's
Adventurer
shadow.
description. A passive
So
skill that allows you
again,
to receive 10%
you have
more experience from all
everything down
sources.
here at the bottom. Let's keep going. There's prey. That's another skill. That's an island power. Let me show you what that does by double tapping it. So I chose this because this levels me up. You may want to choose this. You may not want to choose this. Remember, whenever you get, like in all roguelikes, you're going to be given 3 choices. And it's up to you to choose which one you like. Worst case scenario, you get 3 good choices. Then you have to really bite your nails and decide which one you want to take. Again, my best advice to
Type,
you,
passive.
and really
Stone
one
cost
of the
0.
few pro
SP
tips
cost
you
0.
get this
HP cost
particular
0.
episode is
Done, button.
choose a theme,
Equip
stick
skills,
to your
heading.
theme. If your theme is not good, choose a new theme and then
Attack,
try
button.
to stick
Create
to that
light,
theme.
prey. Brain blast.
And
Swirling
also
storm. Demonic chant.
experiment.
Info.
Lots of
Equip. Unequip.
experimenting.
Skill
You
book.
know?
Attack. Human. Spirited. Charged precision. Gloomy bolt. Prey. Button. Adventurer. Button. Brain blast.
So
button.
that's
Frost beam,
adventurer.
button.
I love that
Skill or
one.
pet book
I
slot.
level up a lot faster.
Chosen one. Button. Skill or pet book slot. Chosen one. Type. Passive. Stun cost 0. SP cost 0. HP cost 0.
Okay,
Stun,
Frost
button.
Beam
Stun,
is
type,
a
passive.
water-based spell.
Chosen
Does
one
a lot
description.
of damage.
A passive
It
skill
has
that
a
causes
high
your main
cost.
stat gains on level up to be doubled.
I have something called Chosen One. Let me let you check out what Chosen One does. This is one of the absolute best skills out there. Chosen
Passive.
One,
Stun cost 0. Done. Button.
absolutely amazing. So
Equip skills.
my
Heading.
main
Skill book.
stat
Heading. Attack.
attributes are
Chart.
doubled on
Gloomy
level
bolt.
up.
Prey.
Excellent.
Adventurer.
So
Brain
that's going to
blast.
double up
Frost beam.
intelligence,
Chosen
and that's
one.
going to double
Demonic
up wisdom
chant.
for
Button.
me. So that's
Skill or pet
awesome.
book slot.
Choose Chosen One every time. It's fantastic.
Create life. Button. Skill or pet book slot. Swirling storm. Button. Skill or pet book slot. 0. Button. 0. Button.
Demonic
0.
chant, we
Button.
already
0.
covered
Button.
that. That's a
Skill or pet book
fantastic
slot.
ability to take when you get it offered it. Create life, it's okay. If you're really into your pets, go for it. Fantastic. And that's it. And you have a bunch of slots left for more island powers to be added, more skills to be added. So that is a look at the preliminary part of the witch, how to choose the correct skills and strategy. And of course, I've given you some guide information on how to set your witch up. Again, the witch really benefits from just basically a tapestry of lots of different abilities. Again, she is a squish, so realize that you need to make sure that you adequately add HP, but don't overboard it. Remember that you need power, so focus on spell power, spell points. So you need to be able to hit enemies. Kill enemies as fast as you can. That's very important. If you can't kill enemies fast, keep them confused, keep them just bedded down with lots of status elements. Your pet should be focusing on healing you and supporting you and or debuffing your enemies. The witch works really well with pets that debuff and heal. Really, really good combination. Next time we do our next STG, which will be part 2 on our STG of the witch, we're going to go over the bestiary and we're going to talk about what equipment really benefits her And that'll be a much shorter STG. This first one was really, we had to cover a lot of different areas. But that's going to wrap it up for us. This way we can get done and not make this episode too long. Thank you very much. I appreciate you being patient with me. I know you're looking forward to more witch action. And the witch shall be back next Saturday. I will be recording this week as much witch as I can. So that is very likely you'll get 1 or 2 episodes of the witch. That'll be the witch part 7 and the witch part 8. For sure, one of those will pop onto Saturday, next Saturday. And one of those might appear as a double tap, or if I'm really motivated, sometimes you folks will get a triple tap. You know, it depends on how well I'm doing. But, you know, a triple tap, wow, that's a bomb. You might get a triple tap. Who knows? I have to be really on it to be doing that. But that's going to wrap it up for us today. I'd love to do more STG, but I got to go.